Hey guys, I'm Jim. I edit photos. Thanks for stopping by. Today I've got kind of a quick tip for you in Luminar AI, and that's a way to control the light without overdoing it, to really balance the light quickly, easily, and like I said, without overdoing it. What I mean by that is kind of screwing up other things, for lack of a better word. So here's an image. I actually was out this morning downtown, just took this. And what I would normally do in an image like this, because it's so dark, is come in here and do something like that with Accent AI. That's at 100, and it does a great job of brightening the image, as you probably know if you have Luminar, and I'm sure you've used Accent AI if you do. It does a great job of brightening the image, but the thing to keep in mind with Accent AI is it doesn't just brighten the image. It's not just a toning filter. It's also impacting contrast and saturation, colors, things like that. And so you can but you can get your photo looking over the top really quickly if you're not careful with that. And so I've got a better way of approaching a scene like this. And this is, I think, pretty typical, where the foreground is going to be underexposed. The sky is going to be a little bit brighter. And that is using super contrast. It is an incredibly powerful and versatile tool for managing the light in an image. So I just took all three of these and dragged them to about the middle. And the key thing here is playing with the balance sliders. So with highlights, if I go to the left, it's going to brighten those a little bit, which I think looks really nice in the sky. Midtones, if I take that to the left, it's also going to brighten. And you may come in here and make further adjustments with the amount. So the first slider is the amount. The second one is the balance. So I might adjust that amount a little bit. And then the third one, shadows. This is a huge move, but I've got that at 48. And if I take the balance to the left, you'll see it's really brightening the foreground, but it's not enough. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that all the way to 100. And now I feel like I've got a much brighter, better balanced image. Now, it's not finished and it's not perfect, but I feel like I've come a long way using the super contrast tool. And the nice thing is it's not messing up my colors. It's not adding too much other stuff, which Accent AI is kind of designed to be the one slider to make you an overall complete edit, start to finish. Super contrast, as the name implies, is great for contrast. And remember, contrast is the difference between the dark and the light, right? And so I'm adjusting the darkness and the lightness here with super contrast. So there it is before super contrast and after. And now that I've done that, I'll go back and get Accent AI, and then I can drag this to something like maybe at about a 50, so it's not having as big of an impact on all the other stuff in the photo, because before I used super contrast, I had to take Accent AI to 100 to get it looking bright enough. Using them in combination, really powerful. Now, you might look at it and say, Jim, the highlights are blowing out a little bit, and they are. So you can fix that in light, or you can always go back to super contrast and adjust the balance here. So I might take that balance a little bit more back to the right and, just adjust the amount of the contrast and something like that, and they look great now. So using those two tools in combination, huge and powerful, and it gives you the benefits of adjusting all the light without sort of the negatives of Accent AI, if you want to call them negatives. Now, to be clear, Accent AI works great on a lot of images, but when it's really dark like that and there's a lot of color, I think you got to be careful because you can easily overdo it. I would come in now with like a little golden hour, I'm at 55, but some golden hour or something like that, just to drop that on there. And don't forget, of course, you can always go back to the light tool and further refine things a little bit. So I might want to lift those shadows a tiny bit, and maybe I want to take a look at the highlights just in case. But super contrast made this image possible without overdoing it based on what Accent AI would do. So there's my image before, and there it is now. I also did a composition AI and an optics adjustment prior to editing this photo. But one more time, there it is before and after. And if I do the sliding scale, you can see we've come a long way doing just a couple of simple things, but super contrast was the one that made the difference. So if I turn this off, that's what my photo would be like with Accent AI at 50 and the golden hour applied and that sort of thing. But that is basically what it's like without super contrast and with much more powerful. You can see the colors in the water, has some nice color in the sky, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, hope that is helpful for you. That's my quick tip on using super contrast, which is not necessarily something you might think about in terms of brightening the image, but very powerful, very useful for doing exactly that. Thanks for watching, my friends. Hope it helps. Appreciate you guys stopping by, hanging out, spend a little time with me. See you in the next video. You guys take care of yourselves, and adios.